police on him.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a 6'11" man laying in the hallway. That's grounds for calling the police. So the authorities, come get this man. You don't know what's going on with this situation. Yeah, that's fair.
Just out here laying with the plates from the from room service.
You sir have to get the authorities called on you.
So you got the NBA draft last night, and Colin Murray Boyles, this is an interesting story, is the second, I don't know, I'm going to have to get some clarification from you on this, the second highest drafted Gamecock ever, but is he actually the third? I'll give you that story. I'll tell you what, Jen, let's hit our most important things of the morning.
Now on the early game, let's kick off the show with the MITs, the most important things on the game.
So Colin Murray Boyles goes ninth. Now, I got corrected on Twitter last night, but this is hard to actually figure out, and I don't know if it counts. Technically, Colin Murray Boyles is the second highest player ever drafted from the University of South Carolina in 1972. Tom Rikers was drafted 8th by the New York Knicks. Okay, now Gary Greger in 1967 was drafted 24th in the third round, but decided to go back to the University of South Carolina, where he would be drafted 8th in the first round the following year.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah, it counts.
Because you get drafted twice.
Yes, it counts.
Okay.
It counts.
All right.
Because where he ended up, yes, it counts.
All right. So Colin Murray Boyles, is he still the second highest drafted player when you got two that are tied at the top?
It's 1A, 1B, and 2.
2. Okay. All right. So I wasn't completely off. But to the Raptors, 9th overall. He goes to an organization, Preston, that has won an NBA championship, has, in our lifetime, we saw Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter for them. I think that was how I first really, I don't want to say became a Raptors fan, but that was an entertaining team to follow. I don't think they could get past the Orlando Magic at that time in our lives. But I would say an average to above average NBA franchise.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing about Toronto is that they want to. Right, there's a big difference. They might have had a pretty high pick, but they want to win.
Right.
Again, very different than, let's say, Charlotte or Washington or maybe a few other friends or the Hawks.
Yeah.
You know, like the Raptors want to. They may go up and down, but they are attempting, trying. And the people in Toronto really care about their teams. So that is seemingly a good place to land if you're a rookie and you're going to build.
9th in the draft. We'll break a lot of stuff down. The roster, I think, is very conducive to him going in and being able to contribute, maybe even start, I would assume. It's going to be really interesting. You're talking about a team last year that was 18th in the league in points allowed. 115.1 points per game is what they allowed. They were 10th in rebounding, and they were 21st in rebounds allowed, which, again, is where I think Colin Murray Boyles comes in. Your bottom half of the league, 18th in points allowed, so you need to upgrade your defense, and you're 21st in rebounds allowed. That's an area that, again, fits kind of what they're going to be asking Colin Murray Boyles to do, especially because this isn't a team, this is an organization right now that is extremely guard-heavy with R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Emmanuel Quigley kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, so he's going to be coming in there. He's been charged with being a defensive guy, and it's really interesting that he got picked that high for what the skill set. Usually the top 10 dudes are supposed to be guys that are coming in to play offense, and he's coming in to play defense. He's coming in as a defensive stopper, or somebody that can be a big piece of the defensive puzzle for Toronto. So I think that is the interesting process. And again, top 10, Colin Murray Boyles. When people were saying that early in the draft process, it was like, okay, pump your brakes a little bit, relax. And it ends up happening, and it's a really, I think this is a wilder story than we're giving it credit for, because this is something that is very interesting. The fact that he gets drafted this high, what he's getting drafted for, and the position that he ended up being is a fascinating story.
Well, again, one of the reasons he's being drafted is his passing skill and the ability. I did have to laugh last night as they were breaking this down. I think one of them said, yeah, he can pass with his back to the basket, and that's a strong skill of it. Back to the basket pass. He can throw it over his shoulder. He can kick it cross court. He can do all these things.
When the double team comes, you got a pocket pass or something like that.
It was, as you said, it was a situation in which they are not going to ask him to score 10 points a game. It's going to be to have like 5 assists, 7 or 8 rebounds, and we're going to put you on one of the other team's better offensive players, especially in the post, and your job is to stop them.
Most importantly, Bill, this is a win for all the coaches in South Carolina. Every AAU, every high school basketball coach can say, see, I told you. You can get drafted by being a guy who can pass with his back to the basket.
Good point.
See these defensive
they don't
slides?
Need behind the basket, behind the back.
You see these defensive slides that we're doing? It got Curry to the league. What about you? This is something that coaches can point to and say, hey, listen, this guy made it to the league.
Didn't just make it to the league. Didn't just make it to the league.
Got drafted number 9.
Yeah. So
get on these defensive slides.
This was a guy. I'd like to go back and listen to whatever audio we have, whatever message boards are out there when Colin Murray Boyles committed. And I think people are like, good. Seems like a nice pickup. It wasn't like, ooh, we got a 2 and done? All right, let's ride.
Again, on message board mayhem, if it's posted that the biggest recruit can pass with his back to the basket and is good on defensive rotations.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would be that excited. Nobody would be lighting up the board saying, "Woo, we got him."
3 people would be. R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Emmanuel Quigley all just went, good. Not another person to take shots. Great selection, organization. Great selection.
Yeah, it's like, again, he doesn't do a lot of things that people get excited about except for the people that matter, which is the front office, the coaches, and the people who are paying checks. So Colin has secured a very nice future for himself by doing all of the things that nobody wants to do.
You think all 3, Barrett, Barnes, and Quigley last night were all sitting together and toasted each other like, don't worry, we're not losing shots here, boys. We're not losing shots. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure we have to play defense quite as hard for 82 games. We got the defensive guru down here and Colin Murray Boyles. So, yeah, we'll talk about that this morning. Awesome for him last night. Chloe Kitts, he went mom first. Good decision.
Put it on the board. DraftKings. Let me know. Should have been a parlay on that one.
Good decision. Yeah, that was a very wise decision on his part. Kind of gave Chloe a half hug as he worked his way back around the table.
Good call.
Yep.
Good call. We don't want to do too much PDA with the cameras and the family around. It's a little awkward, even though they know it's perfect. Very nailed everything.
And now we patiently await, can Chloe Kitts top CMB? Remember, yesterday we talked about it. Chloe Kitts mock draft number 10. Now, somebody informed me last night that the Toronto Tempo will be a new WNBA franchise, I believe, starting next year, and maybe a deal can be finagled to bring Chloe Kitts to the Toronto Tempo to reunite this young couple.
Okay, all right. I like where this is going. I like where this is. That's a very interesting concept that I hadn't really explored. But yeah, I like that.
Maybe
Toronto Tempo.
Maybe if the Colts had only taken J.C. Horn. I think that's where Bree went. Am I correct on that? She was with the Fever. So, yep, that's but that is some of the biggest news of the night yesterday as Colin Murray Boyles gets drafted. Cooper Flagg, did you watch a lot of the hype? And I get it. Cooper Flagg better be Superman the way they hyped him up last night. Like, I'm talking a couple dunk contest victories, maybe 2 NBA championships at bare minimum. Maybe he just moves the Dallas Mavericks back to Maine. He's such a great, and they become the Maine Mavericks there in Newport. So that huge fan base at that particular bar or whatever can just enjoy all of Cooper Flagg.
Listen, man, he's done it up to this point. Reclassified. He also got heard several mentions of the famous, I don't know if we could call it the Jake Bentley, as in, he should still be in high school.
Yeah.
Heard that several times, which is a fact. And it is astonishing that he could be this good, having reclassified. So they did mention that. He's gotten it done to this point, man. But now he has to go play in the NBA, and we'll see what that looks like.
It's going to be interesting for him because he enters a team that is really actually kind of designed and set up to go and win an NBA championship here in his first 3 or 4 years, maybe 2 or 3. Kyrie Irving's is getting up there a little bit in age. But he enters a team that is designed and built to win a championship. It went from a roster, Preston, I think we looked at when they made the Luka Doncic trade, where we were like, oh, this is interesting. You're going to play like 7 post players, Davis and Gafford and everybody, and then just let Clay shoot and Kyrie dribble. Looks like a good roster. Good setup for you. But now all of a sudden, it actually looks like a pretty strong roster to contend in what is the much, much, much more difficult conference, the Western Conference, as opposed to the Eastern.
Yeah, and he's going to have to figure out what his role is. So as CMB is, we know what he's going to be able to do. Cooper's going to have to figure out where he fits. What does his skill set mean, especially for that team as they need him?
Also last night, Ace Bailey got his wish and then didn't get his wish at all. As a matter of fact, he got a worse. And he's at a good franchise. He's with the Utah Jazz, but there was some reports coming out afterwards that this was a situation in which he might have worked his way into a place he really didn't want to be.
Utah's far and remote, and it's very far away from the three East Coast cities that you said you wanted to play on. Better franchise, a franchise that wants to, again, I'll put them with the Raptors. They want to, even though maybe they're good, maybe they're not, they want to win. So he got that. But as far as where he wanted to play, did not get that.
Not even close. And there were people saying last night that he was not happy kind of in the back, I guess the back room or away from the – handled it well. Give him credit. On camera, at least from what I saw, he handled it well. We'll readdress to Colin Murray Boyles handle it well. Involved in a Barstool Sports clip in which I don't know if he was super excited to be drafted or realized that Toronto is not Columbia, South Carolina.
Well, that's again, plus or minus. I don't know. Much
Pretty
like everything.
brisk.
Huh?
I think pretty but brisk.
Yeah. Much like everything on the internet, you can read this several different ways.
Yeah.
You can have your own interpretations of this, and we'll break it down.
803-404-6100. We got a lot to get into this morning as we roll along. Some football discussion. I had not really paid attention to this because my little vacation days and actually just tried to get away. I didn't realize Thomas Castellano thought so highly of himself.
Well, you probably wouldn't have realized that unless he bought himself into the media. You might have to have a competition of who said more, Thomas Castellanos or Diego Pavia.
It's a good point.
Is he trying to find the Diego Pavia lane, which he's not proven to have been that? So, yes, he was talking.
He was talking. We'll get to some of that. Also, Lenore Sellers, a man of many words. I guess if you are asking him like food questions or dress attire, definitely not about his football skill. We'll discuss that a little bit as well this morning as we roll along. 803-404-6100. We'll kind of dig a little deeper into this Colin Murray Boyles heading to the Toronto Raptors and what that may mean for his career. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game.
In the kitchen. Gotcha. Thank you.
Hey, it's Jennifer, Carolina Stone Craftsman, just outside Columbia in Chapin. We ended up making some adjustments in bathrooms recently, needed countertops to put on those new cabinets. And I'm telling you, we were recommended to go to Carolina Stone Craftsman. Very impressed. We learned from experience that from customer idea to the fabrication process to the installation process, everything was meticulously done and no issues there. Sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, delivered with professional results. Their showroom, when we went and visited it for the first time, it is beautiful. I encourage you to check out that showroom. They have an outdoor showroom as well that they're finishing up to let you see all the different hardscape options, outdoor kitchens and things that they can put together for you. But like I said, they were so helpful with us. If you're in the market for countertops for a kitchen or bath, reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman and tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They are family owned and operated. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com. Currently, no accidents to report. Could be a little bit of standing water. Got a decent amount of rain last night. But today's high, under some cloudy skies, is going to be 95, 93 tomorrow with a chance for some afternoon or evening storms. Same for your Saturday. So a little less humid for the next few days, so we certainly are going to welcome that. Starting off the morning, even a little bit cooler than yesterday. It is 73 on 107.5 The Game.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Colin Murray Boyles from the University of South Carolina.
You see the emotions there. His girlfriend right next to him in the red dress. That is Chloe Kitts, 6'2" starting forward at South Carolina, the SEC tournament MVP, and with his family as well.
Colin, you're from South Carolina. You stayed in South Carolina to compete as a Gamecock, and now you're headed to Toronto. How are you feeling?
Feeling amazing. Just thankful for the opportunity. Thankful to be here with my family. It's surreal. I'm still dumbfounded by this feeling. So I'm thankful for it all.
James, Colin has said that you were one of his inspirations in terms of playing basketball. Did you know that you were inspiring this ultimately?
Nah, I didn't, but I'm just so happy for the outcome. It's been a long journey. I'm just happy I could be a part of it.
We talked about you being a South Carolina guy through and through. We saw you celebrating with your family, your whole table. What do you want to say to those people tonight, Colin?
Thanks everything. Thanks for everything. Y'all have been with me through this whole process since I was 3 years old, since I picked up a basketball. I'm thankful for y'all sticking with me. Hometown, being on my back. Thanks for all of it. Everybody, Gamecock Nation, thank y'all for every single bit of love y'all gave me. I appreciate it.
That was the ESPN, or excuse me, yeah, that was the television coverage of last night's NBA draft where Colin Murray Boyles goes 9th. You heard his dad there. They're a kid, I don't know if you remember, and I don't know how they ended up, but growing up, do you remember playing like pee-wee ball and somebody just stood out above the others and you thought for sure they were going to be a big, you didn't know, but you just thought for sure, yeah, that guy's going to definitely go play in college and then probably pro. We can just look at him and he's different than the rest of us.
Yeah, of course. There's always a couple of guys, and some make it, some don't. Yeah, that definitely a thing.
I was going to say, because even now, as a father watching, my kids grew up and watching Austin play sports, there's always a kid you're like, hey, that stands out above. I can't help but wonder, somewhere over here in Richland County, if people saw Colin Murray, like 7, 8, 9-year-old Colin Murray Boyles went, oh, yeah, he's just different than everybody else.
That is a possibility. I would like to know the trajectory of him, and good thing he's from here. We can find those things out. I wonder if he was a late bloomer. I don't know the story. And again, this is why this is so interesting. What is the value of him getting up on that stage and saying, Gamecock Nation? That's crazy. The idea of him being able to say that, people hearing it, because there's a lot of people who learned who he was for the first time, finding out he's from South Carolina, he's from Columbia, he represents Gamecock Nation. I think the value of that was, you can't count how cool that was for the program and for the school and for the city.
Yeah, so Austin and I sat there and watched the draft last night, and this kind of came up because we started going through some of the names that were in the green room, and I'll give you kind of a perfect example of this. Were you aware of who Cedric Coward was before last night? Do you know who Cedric Coward is here after the draft?
Who he play for?
Washington State.
And
is this going to help Washington State any way, shape, with you moving forward?
With me moving forward? No.
Do you think it'll help with anybody moving forward?
What do you mean?
Like, we talk about, like, prospects.
Maybe if there's a particular prospect who's considering Washington State, or if there's somebody that wants to go to school, or if there's somebody in Pullman, that might be the next, what's his name?
Exactly. Cedric Coward.
The next Cedric Coward and Pullman, maybe. Yeah, so localized, yeah, nationally maybe not, but for recruiting things, maybe.
And that's what I would say. We're getting up there and saying Gamecock Nation. Like, we locally, I think the fans more than any prospects are excited about it. But again, the fans around here, us, who do this particular job, go, man, that's great. And then you kind of look back, and as we did, we discuss exactly who has been drafted and where South Carolina players have been drafted. And again, it comes to Colin Murray Boyles, who again is the second highest drafted player. He had two, as we kind of worked out that were before him at 8. But I think it helps us locally, and I think it helps the fans more than it does the actual recruiting aspect. Now, Lamont Paris can go out and say, hey, I've been there 3 years. 2 of my guys have been drafted. One of them would have been drafted higher, but everybody knew he reclassed and did this and did that. And, you know, G.G. Jackson out there, and he was starting to make a name for himself in the NBA, and I got my guy Colin Murray Boyles. But I think if Lamont Paris and Kerry Richard and that staff don't go out and sell it. I mean, you got to really sell it, too, especially coming off the season they just had. You've got to really sell it, but otherwise, what is the value of it? I'm not sure there is much value of it right now.
Okay, that is a
value for recruits, I should say. I think for the fans around here, we all embrace it and go, that's our guy. And by the way, remember, we brought this up yesterday, being in Toronto now, I didn't realize this. I put this on Twitter last night. It is South Carolina had 3 different guys. South Carolina had 3 players on the Denver Nuggets in, I think, 1980 and 1981. But to have 2 Gamecocks
Pipeline.
But I think South Carolina, can you name those guys?
No. Alice
Okay.
English.
That's one of them. Yeah, and I'd have to go back
Most
and look
importantly.
at that. Yeah, that was the one that
Alice English and them boys.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point on this, I think it helps the fan base and energizes the fan base. It's up to Lamont Paris to use this in recruiting.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is better to work with something than work with nothing. And I think that is a clip that they can use and repurpose. As I stated yesterday, they were going to need to have that 18 social media posts from Gamecock basketball yesterday.
Very good work.
They were on work. They were on brand. They were reposting. They were posting. There was pictures, videos, content. They did everything that they needed to do for people to make this a visible event. Because as we've stated, those guys that were drafted 1A and 1B, 1968.
Yep. And 1972.
And yes, and a couple years later in 1972. 53 and 4 years ago, respectively, right? So that was a long time ago. This is the first time this has happened. And any of the new school people are like, oh, yeah, what about Ronaldo Bachman? 2006. 19 years ago. Mm-hmm. So this is a first. This is a whole new generation of things.
And as you said yesterday, we don't get to claim Devin Carter. He didn't finish here.
He did not finish here. We don't get to claim him. So we get to claim this guy, and we get a chance to get energized around a program, as you said, that needs energy. And it needs to have some sort of proof of concept, and this is something that they can use.
803-404-6100. To me, probably not where I would have preferred him to go, because I don't know how much we're going to get to see Toronto on TV unless you've got League Pass. But I think it's a good fit. I think it's a really good fit. Again, you look at this team that he's heading to, they are guard heavy. I mean, they are very dominated at the guard position with R.J. Barrett, with Scotty Barnes, with Emmanuel Quigley. Grady Dick is the guy that we spoke of yesterday, who is there as well. They are not as deep or as talented in the front court, and I think that opens the door for number 2 reasons. It opens the door for him to come in and just play his role. You got guys out there who are gonna shoot. I mean, this is kind of like post players at the University of South Carolina, where Eli Ellis is going to go by and go, just throw the ball back out to me. Mm-hmm. I'll take care of the shooting. Michi Johnson then walks in the room. Hey, just throw the ball back out to me. I'm going to take care of the shooting.
That's passing with your back to the basket, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Post it in, pass it back out.
Throw it back out to me. Don't worry about that scoring thing. And Colin Murray Boyles will fit that. Obviously, he scored average 16 points this past year, so he can do it. It'd be a little bit more difficult. But, yeah, R.J. Barrett, 21 points per game. Scotty Barnes, 19 points per game. And Emmanuel Quigley, 17 points per game. So you see that's where the load of their scoring comes from.
Colin Murray Boyles, barring injury, and if he wants to, he'll play for 20 years if he wants to. Not a lot of people want to come into the NBA and play defense.
But does he want to come into the league and play defense?
He's going to have to find. That's what I'm saying. If he read his, hey Colin, here's your job description. Do you want the job or not? And I would assume he's saying yes.
803-404-6100. So pretty good fit for him there. Speaking of a guy who we should be seeing drafted very highly, maybe in the top 10, Lenora Sellers. We'll speak about him. We'll speak more words than he will.
We'll let him speak. We'll see how this goes.
803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. Let me tell you, I know for a fact that Jacob is the mortgage guru in this market. It was just about 5 years ago this week that he helped me get a great interest rate, a great loan on the house, on the condo that I have out on Lake Murray, and he will do the exact same thing for you. But it all starts with a phone call, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. You need to call and see what the interest rates are, what a down payment might be, what your monthly mortgage payments would be, because that's the first thing you learn. How much money do you have to make that purchase? So give Jacob a call today, 803-719-1005, or you can email him, the letter J, Crowder, Crowder, at firstpalmetto.com. See what the interest rates are. See what all the important information is before you go looking for that home. Call the Mortgage Guru today, Jacob Crowder, and tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
Fort Jackson Boulevard at Divine Street have a report of an accident there, and also a report of a disabled vehicle. Laurel Street at Bull, so that could be just slowing things down just a little bit. And not quite as humid as it has been the last few days. 95 will be our high today with some clouds. 93 tomorrow and Saturday. Both days we do have a chance for maybe an afternoon storm. But right now, 73 on 107.5 The Game.
Let you know that today from 12 to 3, the halftime show, always out in the community somewhere, and you can go visit them. Well, today they'll be at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street. Come on by for a chance to win Gamecock football tickets. That's right, over at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street. The halftime show will be there hanging out and partying it up, getting ready for the weekend. But go by and visit them and come by for a chance to win some Gamecock football tickets. Again, that'll be 12 to 3 later today. Halftime show over at the Nest. Again, that is at 1331 Gadsden Street. It's time for one of Preston's interviews. Always entertaining, always fun to listen to. And this day, Preston Thorne is ready to interview Lenora Sellers. Take it away, Mr. Thorne.
Well, we got Lenora Sellers. Lenora Sellers was on the Zach Gelb show, and I would position that Lenora Sellers, while being a top 5 quarterback, maybe a top 5 worst podcast interview. Because the point of a podcast is to get on there and yap, and this is not what Lenora Sellers does. So we're going to try and run through this, because as I was going through these clips, there's 8 clips, less than a minute's worth of speaking. So we're going to have to try and fill some of this. So if we have Lenora Sellers, you had a great year last year. How do you feel about building off of last year?
Just because of how close we were last year, we've seen what it takes. We know what it takes. We just filled in the missing pieces with, freshmen transfers and all that. So we're just going to build on it from last year.
Awesome. That's great. You're building on it from last year. Bill, what do you think about Lenora's building on it from last year? You feel good about that?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. So you're building on it last year. Well, Lenora's, last year people weren't really excited about how you were going to do. You were coming off a 5-7 year. We didn't know whether you was going to be able to play quarterback. Do you have any messages for the doubters out there?
Really just we did it last year. So, we just got to build on it. If we just stay hungry, stay doing what we need to do, we'll be all right.
You're going to be all right. So, Lenoris, you're going to be all right. You're going to build on it for last year because you're going to stay hungry. Well, a big part of staying hungry is how you're preparing for the offseason. How has your offseason been going, Lenoris?
I just worked on little things, footwork and all that, mechanics, being quicker, making quicker decisions, stuff like that. And then, as a team, we're just want to get started quicker, faster, not wait until, the 5th, 6th game to get going and all that, so.
I get that and all that. But here's the deal, Lenoris. The big story about you this year was that, you were offered $8 million from an SEC team. How do you feel about that? Because a lot of people are talking. Lenoris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I didn't really stress over it too much. I think I would have been more stressful, honestly, if I would have left, because then you got to worry about starting over, meeting new people, building those new relationships. So I didn't really look that deep into it. It was just we were still working out. We had spring ball and all that. So I was really focused on that.
$8 million, though, Lenoris, that's tough to focus on. If you're going to focus on spring ball with getting $8 million, that's a really, really big thing. So you didn't think about the money. So what are you focused on? What about your full potential developing that as a quarterback?
The guy that can run it or throw it, do it, both of them, make good decisions, smart decisions, get the ball out quick, and really just score and win games.
Scoring and winning games. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
I'm glad he's focused on that,
here's
by
the
way.
point. Yeah, he's focused and he's hungry. Now, here's the point, Lenoris.
Also trying to build off last year. He's used that, I think, 3 times.
I was
trying to keep track of that so far.
So this is the thing, though, Lenoris. There's a lot of people expecting a lot of high expectations from you. The draft, you're saying you're projected to go top 5. How do you feel about that?
I'm just taking it day by day, not really changing who I was from before. Keeping my same routine, doing the same things, doing a little bit more, studying the playbook, getting to know the guys around me, building chemistry and all that. So still got to play.
You do still have to play. That is correct. Well, Lenoris, you didn't leave South Carolina. I presume one of the reasons you didn't leave South Carolina was because of the head coach. How do you feel about Coach Shane Beamer?
I think he's just a people's guy. He's just high energy, same person all the time, doesn't change. Never too high, never too low, just cool, calm, and collected, and just wants to win. So,
okay, I got to ask a question here. Is being a high energy guy but being cool, calm, and collected, can those be the same thing?
Lawrence, we may need some clarification on that. You mean high energy is he always high energy? Is he cool, calm, collected? Not sure if I would ever describe Shane as cool, calm, and collected when he's coaching. Maybe that's what he's talking about in the building. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would be curious on that too, because I think he's pretty amped up, definitely in game days and things like that. But maybe he's just Mr. Chill in the in the facility.
Maybe Lenore sees everybody.
I can
just to
actually
chill.
see what they're saying in conversations with the coach, like at golf tournaments or stuff, or like at SEC media days.
Yeah, just kinda
he
down
is
to
more
earth.
of a laid back guy, but then I think 2001 might get to him more than it gets to a couple of the players.
It gets a little fired up. Well, Norris, we'll get some clarification on that. And I guess we've been watching you play quarterback, and we've been talking about you. Do you have any favorites that you model your game after, Lenoris?
Growing up, I was a bandwagon. Were
you just really watching the quarterbacks? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. If it was a winning team, they probably had a good quarterback. So,
who were some of your favorite quarterbacks?
Cam Newton in college, I used to watch him a lot. Let's see, obviously Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, those guys, Drew Brees. Those couple off the top of my head, I used to just watch all the time. But then obviously college quarterbacks, but they changed over the years. So.
Well, Lenoris, we appreciate you for your time, and thank you for coming on the Preston Thorne / Zach Gelb show.
Yeah, Zach Gelb jumped in on you on that last one. Okay, since you were interviewing him, did he have the big book of cliches? And he would just flip to whatever page and read the line that is designated? And two, the favorite QBs thing I feel like is a softball question, and Lenoris, and he's a smart guy. He instantly went best quarterbacks in the NFL in the last 15 years.
Yeah, Lenoris gave a chat GBT answer. He's just like best quarterback 15 years, Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady,
yeah.
Drew Brees. Yeah. Well,
because if it had been longer, he would have thrown Peyton Manning in, right?
Yeah, he was going to get there eventually. He was like, come on, Chad, give me some better answers. And he'd be like, college quarterbacks, what can I do? Well, I mean, it's kind of been documented that he hasn't been a huge football fan. Remember last year they talked about he didn't really watch NFL, and I love the way he acknowledged, like, yeah, whoever's winning, man, that's who I'm with. And I'm with you on that. I don't see anything wrong with being a bandwagon fan. I like that concept. But this thing is, hey, Lenoris, here's the deal. You have high expectations. You're gonna have to do a lot more of these. So this is gonna be a very interesting press run. Lenoris Sellers, SEC Media Day, yes or no? Would you take him?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be his last one.
He's going
to be the face of the program, and clearly you know that he's not going to say anything
he won't say
stirs the hornet's nest, gets the message boards going.
No, he won't. And if there's a certain amount of time that is allotted, he is not going to use that up to where no one else can speak.
Yeah, he's to where no one else can
Zach had to ask 4 follow-ups for one question. He's like, all right, give me some more. Give me a little bit more. What do you think? He's like, not much.
Lenoris Sellers. He's rivaling Connor Shaw from when I covered Connor Shaw as a man of.
I like it.
Connor, I will still never forget the day we had to interview. We were doing an interview with Connor Shaw, and he came, and he just sat on the couch, and he was rewatching. He was rewatching the Florida Auburn game from 2000. We were in the old facility there in the end zone where they had the weight room and everything. And he just plopped down and was kind of like, all right, what do y'all want to talk about? But he just stared straight at the TV and was watching the fly. And he knew every play, by the way. And they were all Spurrier plays. So he's like, he's going to run so-and-so here. And we're like, well, we didn't ask that question. He's like, all right, what do you want to talk about? I was like, all right, this is going well, Connor.
Well, here's the deal. If Lenoris is anything close, if his home record can get anything close to what Connor's was, don't say a word.
Just enjoy it.
Just play quarterback.
Don't worry about his interview.
Let everybody else talk.
803-404-6100. We'll come back. And suit pants. At the NBA draft, we'll get into some draft night attire and let everybody describe their suits from last night. You're listening to the early game.
I saw that.
6:50 on a Thursday morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, fresh off an NBA draft night. We discussed this a little bit yesterday, Preston. The swag, the drip, whatever the kids are calling it now. Unlike being a 43-year-old falling out of touch right now. But everything that was worn last night, from suit pants like Trey Johnson wore.
It was a choice.
Bold move.
It's a choice.
Did you? I mean,
saw. I approve.
Okay.
I approve. I approve. Out of a lot of the stuff that we've seen, that wasn't as bad as some of the other ones.
Okay. Well, let's let you listen to a couple of the players here describe their attire from last night. Here is several draft prospects. I think these are all actually the green room invites describing their suits.
Through the fit. It is a nice little suit. Mirror shoes, mirror belt. Little watch, little Cuban.
Yeah, so I got a nice three-piece suit from Boss. Pretty classic, simple. The Louboutin shoes, and then I got a Hublot watch.
No black and blue jacket, black pants, white shoes, classic, not crazy.
So my fit's all black. I think it was just a calm, cool look. You know, I'm a calm, cool, simple person. And then on the inside is where it really gets, my flavor out there. It's basically me, a whole bunch of pictures of my family, my mom, dad, sister, girlfriend, coaches, aunts, uncles, everybody in here, and all the people I care about, I love, that's been with me throughout this journey. And on this side, we got the red, because every college I've been to is in some way red. And then we got the scripture I live by, which is John 3:16. And then the quote I live by, and I can take with me everywhere throughout, especially when I play for where you want to go and not for where you are, given to me by my dad. And so I live for that all day, and it's just really to keep getting better as the time goes along.
I was more listening for the words. I heard flavor. I heard a few other what'd you call them? Millennial? What is
They're Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah. No, they're Gen Z. Yeah, this is the Gen Z generation. Yes. Getting closer towards Gen Alpha as we're talking about them. Here's a couple things. First of all, black pants, black suit, white shoes, not classic. That's not a classic look.
I wondered about that.
Not a classic look.
Black suit was classic.
Black suit, classic.
You
white
lost it with the shoes.
Yeah, you made it all the way down to the shoes. Also, when you open your jacket and you have your family pictures, which is a very sentimental thing, you should keep that as a keepsake. Not classic either. It's not cool, calm, or classic. It's cool. You want to do that? That's fine.
Yeah.
Not classic. Now, Bill, here's where my guy comes in. I told you, and I'm not being biased. I'm trying not to be biased here. But CMB was money last night. He was modern, right? He had the dress shirt button all the way up to the top button like the kids are doing. Had on a modest chain underneath. It was very modest. It wasn't too gaudy. It wasn't too showy, but it was there, and I'm sure it was quite expensive, which it should be, and he deserves it. Blue pinstripe, nice classic suit. I told you my guy was going to show out, and I think when you look at all the lists, Vogue, GQ, when they're rating all the draft fits, Colin does not show up in there. And I position that's how he actually won, because he wore a classic, understated, very nice piece of menswear. Classic. Colin, nice job last night.
Okay. All right.
Job. And also, I guess we'd be remiss not to mention Chloe.
Yeah, she looked sharp.
She looked amazing, right? She looked amazing. Had her hair in the updo. Was very good looking couple.
For her, she got to do something that CMB didn't, and that she got a preseason scrimmage on this. She's going to have to be dressed up next year, so she was able to really take. She got a preseason, so I expect her to win the, as long as it's classy. But I expect her to win the wardrobe, the drag or help the old person here.
Swag.
Okay.
I was like, drag. Well, that's a whole other.
Yeah, I was like, where am I going again with this? I'm not in my element on this. Just backwards ball cap and a T-shirt. But no, there was a couple that I questioned. Trey Johnson was one last night.
Yes.
Baby Usher, as I thought it was. I think it was the kid from.
Two players I believe in the first round went shirtless.
Yeah.
Underneath the jacket, which again. Bold choice. Wouldn't be for me. But listen, man, you're young. You can look back on these pictures and wonder.
That just even seems uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you're probably sweating a little bit and just.
Yeah, especially if your jacket is like silk lined.
Well, and
shirtless, not a good.
Y'all know me.
Time.
I hate the cold. I'd be so fearful that the Barclays Arena, the Barclays Center, it would be cold, and I'd just be in there like miserable.
Shirtless, yeah, not a good look. But yeah, CMB, you knocked it out the park like I thought you would. Great job.
Yep.
Hour 2 on the way.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Redid our kitchen about, about a year and a half ago, something like that, when the kitchen had been flooded. And I'm telling you, we're thrilled with the results and still speaking highly of CHW Cabinetry. We were so happy with the work they did for us. We ended up doing some work in a couple of bathrooms, replaced some cabinetry in there, and still had a great experience. If you don't want to do just total redos, obviously makes sense, but you can actually update your pantry, maybe get some drawers put in there. If you're tired of those wire hanging racks in your closet, sick of dealing with those, they can help you find ways to elevate your closet experience. If you have maybe some workspace, you're starting to work from home, you want a better office home workspace, they can certainly help with that. So many ways that CHW Cabinetry can be of assistance. CHWCabinetry.com or call them at 803-520-6837. And, of course, tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington, passion from inspiration to installation. And they're still working that earlier tie-up Fort Jackson Boulevard at Divine Street. And a disabled vehicle still could be impacting traffic just a little bit. Laurel Street around Bull. And not quite as humid, so the heat indexes are a little bit better for the next few days. Still going to be warm, though. 95 today, 93 tomorrow and Saturday. Yes, tomorrow and Saturday could see some chances for some afternoon or evening storms. And right now, though, the sun is out, 73 on 107.5 The Game.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Colin Murray Boyles from the University of South Carolina.
You see the emotions there. His girlfriend right next to him in the red dress. That is Chloe Kitts, 6'2" starting forward at South Carolina, the SEC Tournament MVP, and with his family as well.
That was the call. Adam Silver, who makes the satellites on Paul Feinbaum's head look minuscule. I didn't realize that until really last night. Adam Silver has a set of ears on him.
Yeah, well, it's a tough,
I didn't really pay attention to.
It's an unfortunate head shape that he has. Unfortunately, he's kind of conish, very skinny, conish. He doesn't have a great shape for a bald head.
No. But the good news was Adam Silver last night announcing the 9th pick in the NBA draft, and that was Colin Murray Boyles to the Toronto Raptors, who will look back to becoming a heavyweight in the Eastern Conference. And the door is open. They were talking about this last night a little bit. The door is open. Orlando Magic making the big trade for Desmond Bane, and how the Orlando Magic might now be in contention to make a run in the Eastern Conference. Discussions last night kind of breaking out about what the Celtics may do next without Jason Tatum. If there's anything on the table to maybe trading Jaylen Brown. It was kind of an interesting conversation that caught me off guard. But Colin Murray Boyles goes to the Eastern Conference and to the Toronto Raptors last night. And you know, you can interpret things the way you want.
The internet is a great place for that.
The internet, I mean, look, this is a moment that is unlike, because there's so few draft picks, and round 2 is tonight, by the way. You know, Major League Baseball's what? I don't even know, 40 rounds, 45 rounds. NFL draft is 7 rounds. You kind of talked about it, like even when you get to 5, 6, 7, maybe 6, 7, maybe you don't even want to be drafted. You want to pick and choose your destination. NBA, there's so many players and so few people that get drafted. Maybe the realization that you've worked, as Colin Murray Boyles in an interview, worked toward this since you were 3 years old. Maybe there's that realization it came true. And you're in a green room that few people get to experience. Or maybe the team that drafts you is not where you wanted to go. Preston Thorne, you want to explain what occurred?
Fudge. Colin Murray was caught on TV saying fudge. Maybe not quite that.
Much like Ralphie in The Christmas Story.
Yes, very. He was caught, and it was at the moment when his name was called. He was going to put on a suit, and he said fudge, and the camera caught him, and immediately it went viral all over the place. Barstool got a hold of it, then everywhere, and it goes and blasts off everywhere. And much like the internet said, everybody's like, "Okay, what's going on with that, Colin? Are you not happy with that?" And then,
well, it's more fun for the internet to say he wasn't happy. He doesn't want to go to Toronto. Look at that.
Right.
He's just had one of the best moments of his life, and look how angry he is.
Right. And look at, which is really funny because we know Colin. It was like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see how that goes, because we haven't seen that out of him. And I guess this is where Colin got a chance to explain his reaction. You have to go back and explain to the internet what happened. We think. Here's clip number 15.
Oh, WTF for sure. WTF all the way till my name got called. Man, it was crazy. But geez, I almost shed a tear. But I try to keep my composure. But you know, it's surreal. You know, like I dreamed of this when I was a kid. Like you never know you're gonna be there till you're there for real. So it's like it's crazy.
Also about the most energetic I've heard Colin Murray. I'm sure behind the scenes with his friends and everything, he's a very energetic, fun-loving, like lighthearted guy. I don't feel like we've seen that in the public basketball persona that he has.
We have not.
And okay, good to know.
We have not.
And with that being said, yeah, that was the Colin Murray Boyles kind of cutting loose and having fun and explaining his reaction.
Which was funny because the internet takes things and grabs it and runs with it and moves it around. The Toronto Raptors social media immediately posted a picture of Colin smiling with the Raptors hat on, saying, "See, guys, he's happy to be here." So they had to jump on that. There were several other iterations of it, but it was funny because once he explained it, you could see in it, and when you look at it, you can see in his mind he was like, "Yo, this is like." He could see he was saying fudge, as in if he was kind of like overwhelmed, like, "Wow, like this is crazy."
Yeah, I'm here, but like I don't know that I totally knew my name was going to be called when my name was called.
Especially that early because, again, he was supposed to be projected anywhere from 9 to 20.
7 to 17, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that was what we had on that mock
So this
draft
this long swath, and for him to get called at the top of that, he was absolutely fudge. And that's what the internet caught and ran with. So Colin got to be viral for a split second in NBA Twitter last night.
It was a little more than a split second. I think people even then don't want to listen to the interview and be I did not.
Of course, the internet's not going to let you explain.
Raptors PR guy got to him already.
That's gone. Yeah, that has already made its way. Probably a solid meme for a while now.
803-404-6100. Real quick shout out last night. We talking about Colin Murray Boyles drafted 9th. Well, how about 2 former Gamecocks who went number 1? One earlier this week, Aaliyah Boston, a 31-point performance. Caitlin Clark had just 6 in that game. Aaliyah Boston said, "Don't worry about it, Caitlin. I got it. I'll handle everything." And on Tuesday night, had a 31-point performance for the Fever that led them to a victory. And last night, another former number 1 pick gets to the 5,000-point career marker faster than any player in WNBA history. Asia Wilson last night, 22 points, but it was points 7 and 8 that put her at 5,000 and 5,001, passing Breanna Stewart. Asia Wilson doing this in 238 games in the WNBA, surpasses Breanna Stewart, who it took 242 games, and Diana Taurasi, who it took 243 games. So Asia Wilson continuing to set the standard in the WNBA. And again, as we talk drafts and draft picks, so it's the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, she's the best player in the universe until further notice. Caitlin's obviously coming along. She's going through a little slump now, but until further notice, Asia's the best player in the league. The Aces are struggling a little bit though, so we'll see how that comes along with them not playing as well. Carmelo Cardoso also had a very good game 2 nights ago, I believe. So those women are playing, and we talked about this before. When you look at the W, the team with the most representation in the W are the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
And it's only fitting that the 2 women that you announced were from UConn. So you maybe see a little bit of that passing of the torch as the game is elevated.
And Tahina Papa was doing really well for having just got in. I mean, she was leading the league, I think, in like 3-point shots.
Yeah, she's leading the league in 3-point percentage, which I have to say as a fan, I was like, we needed that a little